Hey everybody, we are here, we're in Virginia today. Welcome to your Scolio-Pilates STRONG episode 4. We're doing good, I thought that after the first episode that it was always going to be that rough, and it's actually getting a little easier each time. I do believe this is our third location since we started. We started in California, we went to North Carolina, and now we're in Virginia. So here we are. So you'll see this location frequently as well. We'll be back in California for the next episode, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow on the 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm just gonna keep all the times on Pacific, just makes it easier for me. So before we get started, let's with the exercises, let's get started with your scoliosis little tidbit for the day. And that is just about a little bit about the history of scoliosis. A lot has changed since we first started managing scoliosis, we as in humans. Hippocrates writes about scoliosis in the genuine works of Hippocrates in 500 BC. And while he describes the, Gus will move, by the way, by the time we get moving here. I had some treats in my hands. Come on over here, buddy. He writes about how scoliosis was treated at the time, so how it was being treated in 500 BC. And one of the methods for treatment was to get a ladder and tie the person with scoliosis to the ladder, shoulders, head, hips, just above or below the knee, just above or below the ankle. Tie them to the ladder and then turn them upside down, but they didn't turn them upside down until they were on the top of a roof somewhere. And so he writes about this in his treatise, and he says that he did not create this method, and he's only describing what was done at the time. He did call the method stupid, those are his words. But he said that it was a method created to astonish the mob. And he also said about the method that while he thought it was stupid and that it was really just to astonish the mob, that there was some basis in it that could actually be helpful for scoliosis. And those two bases that he was speaking of are elongation of the spine. So we still do that. We did that for the first 3 episodes, in fact. And then the other thing that he found useful or could potentially be useful was succussion. So when they had someone hanging upside down on this ladder, they would shake the ladder. And we still use that method today. So if someone's getting into position, if you've ever worked with me hands-on, you'll feel me elongate your spine. I'm elongating Gus's spine now. He's getting very comfortable. And the next thing I would do is from that long position, I would shake him a little bit. And that starts to get the spine just kind of oriented to that longer position. Yes, you good boy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I did want to mention also about the Hippocrates. They call it the Hippocratic ladder, although he was quite firm in that he did not create it. He did say that there was an element of that ladder that was just there to astonish the mob. And I think we still today need to be careful of that, especially around scoliosis management, that we are doing something that is healthy and that is good for us, and that isn't snake oil. More about that on our next episode. We'll be talking about the study that we're doing for Scolio-Pilates. In the meantime, before we have a study that shows 100% that this is helpful, then we know that the worst thing that could happen is that you're going to get stronger. There's not going to be an ill side effect here. I do apologize for the echo. We just moved into this place and it has exactly one piece of furniture and you're looking at it. It's a chest. Okay, we'll get there. Eventually we'll have something to sit on. I think to start, why don't we actually start, I had an exercise I wanted to jump into with you, but let's start with an elongation just to get ourselves moving here. This will be all the way back from episode 1. This is flying up. So if you recall, the fingers go at the back of the head, the thumbs go at the jaw. Let me turn around quickly so you can see. Fingers at the back of the head, starting at the base and working their way up. And thumbs, again, are here at the jaw. If it's not comfortable to sit on the floor, then by all means, you can do this seated in a chair. Once we get to the next exercises, I'll give you variations for those as well. All right, so sitting here and elongating super gently. So if 100% is all the strength you can give me, pulling your head up away from your shoulders, then you're going to start with about 20%. And then from that 20%, then you can increase slowly. And as you increase slowly, be really aware that we're only looking for a small stretch here. This is your neck we're talking about. This is your entire spine we're talking about. We're not trying to like pop your head off like Barbie, all right? So super, super gentle here. As I'm doing this, I'm breathing. I'm inhaling just a little sip of air to start with. And I'm exhaling all the air. Next. And then I inhale. That inhale is bigger because my exhale is big. Now exhale all the air. All the air, all the air. Again. Inhaling. Exhale all the air. Keep breathing there, and I want to give you another image to think about. I want you to feel like you have an elevator and it's based right here. And when you exhale, that elevator comes up. So pull the elevator up. You can feel that happening sometimes by squeezing the butt muscles a little bit. On the exhale, that will help you elevator up. You can feel that a little bit by pulling the stomach to your spine. And exhale, pull the stomach in and slide it up. All right, so elevator up while you're flying up. One last breath. And exhale all the air. And then rest, and you can kind of shake your spine out there. And then when you're done shaking, you can push your hands into your knees and get a little taller. Awesome. Okay, so I want to start. This is our core control class. So we did a lot of elongation in the first few episodes, and we did a lot of core control, core strengthening, because we were exhaling. And when you exhale, you probably have already noticed that when you exhale, the stomach, all the muscles of the spine get contracted towards your center. It's kind of like if you had a pole running down through your center, which you could think of as your spine. And all the muscles are pulling towards that pole or towards the spine for support. So instead of the support being out here, it's being pulled in tighter like that. So just play with that for a moment. Hands on the knees, push down into your hands and push up through the top of your head. Kind of like if you had 2 extra hands, you could do flying up and pushing into the knees at the same time. So a little sip of air, inhale. Exhale, hands push into the knees, head up to the sky, elevator up. Think of that, the butt squeezing and the abs lifting in and up. Last time, or let's do 2 more. Inhaling. Exhale, hands into the knees, head up. And think of the spine muscles, the stomach muscles, everything coming around your center. Good, awesome. Last time. Inhaling. And exhaling. Push your hands into your knees, head up to the sky. The more you exhale, the more you're going to feel those stomach muscles come in and grab the spine. Okay, you've probably already figured out that my instructions for inhale and for exhale probably are not matching anything that you're doing there. Just continue your pattern and continue doing your own breath pattern while I'm chatting you through an exercise, because as soon as I start chatting, I lose the rhythm of the inhale, exhale pretty quickly. All right, so from here, I'm gonna leave Gus where he is for just another second because he's still not in the way. And from here, 2 things. Let's try an easier version first. If you are not able to get the spine straight while seated on the floor, If you are finding yourself here, or that you find that these muscles in the front of the thighs, the hip flexors, are yelling at you right off the bat, then you really need to be sitting on something here. In the past, it would have been, you know, a big old phone book. Today, I don't know, 6 or 7 laptop computers. You'll find something. A pillow from the bed is going to be way too soft, but I would recommend looking around the house. You can do this seated on a chair, but having your legs dropped that much is probably going to not help us work the abdominals, which is what we want. So it would be ideal if you had something just a little bit underneath your hips. Okay, start with the easy version first. Easier. Your hands, I'm going to move Gus's little butt. Okay, stay right there, buddy. You're okay. All right, your hands are going to go right behind your hips here. My thumbs are touching my hips. My fingers are pointed away. And I'm going to elongate up here, standing on my fingers, like I'm going to make a tent with my fingers as opposed to being flat with the hands here. Yeah. So tent the hands and coming up here. Okay, so as I tent my hands, I'm using my elbows to push my spine slightly up, well, definitely up, and slightly forward. All right, so here we go. Inhale, little sip of air, exhale, elevator up, squeeze the butt, head on the sky, pull your stomach to the spine. So my stomach's not hanging out over my legs, right? It is pulled in towards my spine and I'm leaning forward. Again, inhaling, exhale all the air. I'm pushing through my fingers, my elbows are pushing into my spine, my head is trying to touch the sky, flying up. Inhaling, exhale all the air, I push into my fingers, I pull my stomach to my spine, that's that core control. My head goes up, and I inhale when I have to. Exhale all the air. My toes are pointing. They could be flexed, but it's a lot harder. Exhaling, stomach to the spine, squeeze the butt, elevator up, head on the ceiling. Let's do 3 more like that, and I've got to give my fingers a little shake here before I do any more. Okay, so from here, you could do fists here, by the way. From here, inhale. Exhale, stomach to the spine. And squeeze the butt, head up to the ceiling. My shoulders are slightly rolled back so I don't get into this position. Again, inhaling, exhaling, squeeze the butt, stomach to the spine, flying up. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, exhale, stomach to the spine, squeeze the butt, flying up. Inhale. Exhale, elbows push, butt squeezes, stomach pulls in, elevator up, head on the ceiling. Okay, good job. Good. You probably felt the stomach muscles working there a little bit. And as usual, I'm super happy to answer questions. I'm super happy to ask questions too. And I'll answer those at the end. John is monitoring today, so if a question pops up, hopefully he'll be able to address that, although now that I think of it, anyway, if he doesn't respond to you, it may mean I didn't set him as administrator, in which case I'll answer all the questions at the end. Alrighty, so that's a little bit of the abs working to just hold yourself upright. From there, let's go on. Now you're going to lie down. Oh, I had a really great question last time via email from Donna. And she said in the last webinar that I was saying, because we're getting ready to do it again, that you're going to reach your leg long on the side of the lumbar concavity. And she said I said the opposite in the episode previous to that. And so what I didn't specify in those 2 webinars, whether it was lumbar or thoracic. Okay, so I'll be sure to do that in the future because one was thoracic and one was lumbar. All right, so I think I should flip. Yeah, so you can see. All right, so from here, I'm gonna lie down, make sure I'm still visible somewhat. All right, I think that'll work. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to start the way we did last time, and that is we're going to fly up. So my hands are behind my head. I'm going to reach my head to the wall behind me. I'm going to inhale. I'm going to exhale all the air and keep flying up. I'm going to breathe one more time like that. Inhale. Don't worry about the straight leg and the bent leg just yet. Exhale all the air. Head to the wall behind me. One more time. Inhaling. Exhaling. Head to the wall behind me. Stomach to the spine. Okay. In terms of my legs, what I've done is the leg that is straight, this leg. Oh, I've done this backwards. So if you ever get confused at home, no, it's not just you. Scoliosis, it's confusing. I was just working with someone earlier that had the opposite curve I had. So I was setting you up for her curve, not mine. All right, so I'm going to set you up for mine. Okay, so from here, my hands are behind my head. The leg that is straight is on the side of my lumbar concavity. All right, so the side that is hollow. So when I put my hands underneath my low back, my lumbar spine, I have more space underneath my right than my left. My left, it's not touching the floor, but it's trying to squeeze the floor there. And the right, I could put like a little matchbox car, a little toy car right here under my spine, and I'd never feel it. All right, so from there, I'm going to look up at my hips and see if one is higher than the other. So I'm going to look up, my right hip is high, so I'm going to drop it down a little bit. And then from there, the leg on the side of this concavity is going to slightly reach away from you. So I have a window over there. So I'm going to reach towards the window. And then my hands go behind the head again. So from here, we did this one last time. This is a review. So inhaling, you're going to exhale, pull the head up, pull the chin in slightly. Pull the leg that is straight is on the side of your low back or lumbar concavity. You look up, you see if one hip is high, and if it is, if you have one hip closer to the ceiling, pull it down so it's level. If it looks level to you, it probably is, so don't try to make one up. If it's level, just leave it alone. And then on the side of the lumbar concavity, low back concavity, you're going to push that leg away, for me, towards the windows. And then from here, I'm going to inhale. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to fly up, and I'm going to lift my leg up on the exhale. I'm going to inhale. I'm going to exhale and fly up. I'm going to do just two more like that. Inhale. Exhale, fly up. Inhale. Exhale, fly up with my head and reach long with the leg. Hold that for just a moment. My head reaches away. I'm using my hands to reach my head away. My heel is reaching away. This foot is flexed now, as opposed to pointed. It's flexed. I know it's just barely in the camera. So inhale, exhale, fly up. Look at your hips. Make sure they're not too rotated. Mine were way too rotated. It was an overcorrection. And I'm reaching my leg away. And then rest. Okay, now from here, we're going to bring that leg up. You're going to put your hands on your hips. I want you to imagine that you have two more hands. So now you have 4 arms, 4 hands. And 2 of those hands are going to imagine that they're lifting you up into the flying up position. So you never lose that position. It would be ideal if you had a mirror right on top of you on the ceiling, and you could see if your head was starting to turn one way or another, because with scoliosis, it often does. We often don't keep our heads on straight once we lie down. So use your hands to first get you into a long position. Now take your hands and put them on your hips. And then from here, correct that rotation. If you have one hip that likes to lift closer to the ceiling, pull it down. And then from here, you have to imagine that your hips are a boat. And the boat can rock. And you're not going to allow it to rock once we get going with the exercise. So your boat is rocking. You bring your hips back to the middle. I'm going to correct this hip because it's the one that likes to live close to the ceiling. It comes down. And now from here, I'm going to open up. These are sails on my boat, by the way. This is my boat. My legs are the sails. And as I open the sail towards the water, this is the water, I don't get to rock the boat. So I open. I'm going to open just on my right side for now. And I close, and my boat doesn't rock, and my head doesn't turn. So I open, and I don't rock the boat. And yes, you can totally sing that song. And so open, and then close. And then hands behind the head again. Make sure that your head is on straight. Make sure you're still flying up. Hands back to the hips. Correct the rotation if there is any. By the way, I can feel my rotation if I'm not looking at my hips, because one hip bone will stick out more than the other. So when I'm here lying down and I check for my rotation, my right hip bone is bonier than my left hip bone. And so if it feels bonier to you, then it probably is. And so you might want to adjust that. And of course, make sure you look up to check it before you start correcting anything. Now we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to lower this leg just a little bit, only so you can see. At home, you're just going to keep both legs there. So here, this leg goes out just a little bit so you can see. And then I'm going to rock, or I'm going to let the left sail, my leg, go towards the water and come up. Now my right hip loves to go towards the ceiling. So as my left leg drops open, it's really easy for me to go this way. So it's going to take a lot of control for me to keep my right hip down and to open up the left leg and come back and open and come back. Now you can alternatively, if this is this side, my left leg is on the side of my convexity, so my lumbar convexity, so I'm going to go ahead and straighten my right leg. And I'm going to do the corrections we were just doing before, which is flying up, straight leg on the side of my lumbar concavity, that's on the side of my hollow or my tide pool. That foot is flexed, that heel is reaching away. Remember, and if you need to review that, you'll be able to watch the recording and get all of that again. So I'm flying up, my hips are level, my leg is straight on the side of my hollow, and my leg is reaching long and flexed. Okay, now from here, I'm going to do the drop the sail. I'm going to drop the sail without rocking the boat. Baby. And then I'm going to open the sail and come right back up. And I'm going to open the sail. My hips don't get to move here. I am rolling out on the side of my foot, by the way. I'm not trying to keep my whole foot on the floor. I'm rolling out onto this outside of my left foot. And then I'm opening. And I'm closing, and I'm opening, and I'm closing. Okay, that one is a lot harder than it looks. So hopefully you'll get a chance to practice this also when you get the recording. I do have more exercises I wanted to share with you. I just want to make sure we had time, but we do have plenty of time. I want to show you a pretty typical Pilates exercise. It's called the 100. And we want to modify it to be safe and effective for our purposes so that we're not just willy-nilly throwing ourselves into some crazy abdominal exercises and it's not effective. Next time we meet, I'll go into, I think the little tidbit we'll do at the beginning next time will be about the whole purpose of doing core work that's specific to scoliosis. I don't want to waste your time on that now because it's just more me chatting. So we're going to lie back down and we're going to set up the same exact way. We're going to change some things up in a moment, but let's start the same way. Flying up, level the hips, find the low back, hollow, or tide pool, or valley, depending on what part of the country or world you're in, what makes sense. And then from here, you're going to reach your leg away on that side. So watch that leg. So here it starts, and it's reaching away. Okay, so this exercise is called the 100. And it is, it's an abdominal exercise, but it's also considered a breathing exercise. So I like it for both of those reasons for scoliosis. We're going to start by bringing this leg back up, bring both legs up here, and we're going to do the exercise from this position. Now, since my legs are off the ground, I can't, and I'm going to keep my knees bent, I can't really reach my leg away. We could do that in the future, but not today. So instead, I'm going to reach my butt bone away. So here, on the side of my concavity, I'm going to reach that away. And at the same time, I'm going to elongate up to the top of my head. And I'm going to start with just the breathing component of this. So we're going to inhale in a very staccato fashion for 5 breaths. It's going to look like this. It's going to go inhale. And then we're going to exhale 5 staccato breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. All right, let's review what we're doing here. Because this is nothing like well, I shouldn't say it's nothing like the 100. If you're used to taking Pilates classes, there's a lot of things that are going on here that are very different from what you're used to. The first one is that the head is down. The second is that you're using your hands to elongate through the back of your neck and through through the neck and through the spine. The third is the legs are up, which you might do this in your 100 in your classes. But the next unusual thing is going to be that your hips are going to de-rotate. So make sure your hip is down. My right hip is a little bit high. So I'm going to bring it down. And I can see that at my knees. So if you don't want to look at your hips, you can just look at your knees. And if one hip needs to go down, either you have a leg length discrepancy, one leg is longer than the other, or that hip needs to go down. And if you're not sure which it is, look at your hips. And then I can see that my right hip needs to go down. And then my hip bone here, my sit bone, is going to reach away. So again, just to review those changes for the setup of the 100, you're going to reach the head long. You are going to bring the knees up. You're going to correct the rotation of your hips. So I'm going to bring my right hip down, and I'm going to take my right hip and push it away. So I know which hip needs to come down because I looked at it. So my right hip's high, it has to come down. I know which hip has to reach away because it's on the same side as the lumbar hollow or the lumbar concavity. All right, so here we go. Let's do this again. And let's start with an inhale. Inhale. Exhale. 3 more sets. Last time. All right, and you can rest there. I'm going to come up to sitting. I get a little lightheaded sometimes with the 100, so I have to be careful that I'm exhaling all the air and then I'm letting the inhale be more natural. I'm taking it in a staccato pattern, but I'm only inhaling what I exhaled. So if you start inhaling more than you exhaled, usually that's when we get lightheaded. Normally, if you exhale all the air that you can, then you will inhale just the right amount to balance that back off again, as opposed to trying to take that deep inhale, focus more on the exhale. In fact, if you wanted to try this exercise by starting with the exhale first, so it would be exhale for 5, inhale. Might be a good way to start because then you have less risk of that feeling of getting lightheaded. Okay, so from there, I wanted to show you one more abdominal exercise, and then we'll open it up for questions. So far in terms of the abdominals, what we've done is we've done seated, lifting up and forward, right, to bring the stomach to the spine. We laid down, and make sure I stay in the middle here. We laid down and we did the exercise we did last time, getting everything set up here, and then doing the single leg lift. And then we did the sailboat. So don't let the boat rock. And then we did the sailboat. And then we did the 100. So let's go ahead and add on one more exercise. From here, I want you to start with the legs straight again on the side of the lumbar concavity. And I want you to push that leg away. You can keep the foot pointed. Hands go behind the head. And now you're going to lift up. And then you're going to bring that knee in. And then you're going to reach away on the side of the lumbar concavity. And then bring it back in. My hands are behind my head to keep my whole spine reaching. So when my hands are reaching away and my foot is reaching away in the other direction, I've got this nice two-directional pull. If I don't have my hands behind my head, then it's really, this leg reaching will just turn my spine into a squiggle. You can try it. If your hands are on your hips here and you just reach, everything kind of goes cattywampus on top. So hands stay behind the head. You start at tabletop. This is tabletop up here with my right leg. And then I reach and I lengthen. I come back in and I reach and I lengthen. Let's do two more like that. Inhale. Exhale, leg away. Head reaches. Last time, and then we're going to add on to it. And head away and foot away. All right, one thing I've become aware of while I'm doing this is that this butt muscle is not working a whole heck of a lot, and it should be working a lot more. So let me let's talk through that. Hands behind the head, knee in, head reaches away. Now, as I go out, this butt muscle simultaneously squeezes hard. The lower your leg is to the floor without touching, the more easily you can contract that muscle. If you have your leg up here, super hard to contract this muscle. So then I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to exhale, squeeze the butt muscle. Inhale, head reaches away, foot reaches away, my butt muscle squeezes. Two more. Inhale, exhale, reaching. Last time. Inhale, exhale, reaching. Okay, so we did it. That's our first look at some core exercises for scoliosis. And I'm just going to come in a little closer and see if we have any questions. And it looks like there's nothing there at the moment. So I will let you know what's coming up. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in there and I'll answer them as we go. But in the meantime, we do have another episode coming up. That's 2 weeks from tomorrow. That's the 29th at 11 a.m. And I'll send you a link to register for that in case you haven't already. I know many of you already have. And then in the news, we have had a couple of emails about can we have these webinars available for a longer period of time. I would love that. I can't figure out how to efficiently make that happen. And so it's going to be a while. Once we have enough webinars, then we're going to figure out a subscription type of thing so that you can have access to all the episodes through that. That's not going to happen for a while because no one's going to subscribe to something that has 4 episodes, I don't think. So let me get some more episodes under our belt here, and then we'll go on to that. In other news, since there aren't any questions yet, feel free to sign off. This is just me chatting. In other news, we did just get back from Ohio. I was teaching at the Children's Hospital, Dayton Children's Hospital in Ohio, and it's definitely one of my favorite experiences. We are really thrilled to be there. And they are doing a study. So I mentioned about a study earlier in the episode, and they'll be doing a study, and I'll give you some more details on that in our next episode. I spent the week seeing patients at the hospital, helping the therapists work through their sessions with the patients so that if well, they're already pretty well trained. So I spent a month with them last summer training them, about a month and a half training them last summer. And then several of them came out to California this year to train with me there. And so they're all quite well trained already. So this was kind of the icing on the cake and introducing them to some new ideas, some new exercises. And I was a lot more hands off this time. They were really just diving right in and doing an amazing job. So it is, as far as we know, the only hospital in the United States that has a program like this, where the program isn't just a matter of having one or two therapists that are trained in a scoliosis specific exercise technique, but instead it's a program where all the therapists are trained and everyone moves forward in a determined direction. And we're working very closely with orthopedic surgeons and the orthotists there to give these children the best possible outcome. They do see adults there. I had a client on, I think it was Friday when I was there. I don't remember, Friday, who is 81. So certainly they do see all ages, especially when it comes to scoliosis, because there's not always someone else readily available. And they have some big news going on. So they have some other things going on with the Scolio-Pilates program that we're excited about. But they are our first licensed Scolio-Pilates medical center. So it's very exciting to have a licensed medical center doing Scolio-Pilates. We're very excited. All right, so I think that's probably enough of me jabbering. There are no questions today. If you find you have questions after, don't hesitate to email me. When I send you the link, if you need to respond with a question, then please do. And I'll either get, I usually respond to your email directly to you, and then if it's appropriate, to the whole group as well, just like Donna's question where it was kind of like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Because you keep using the same word to mean two different things. So I appreciate that. All right, everybody, I'm going to let you go, and I will see you on August 29th from California this time. We'll be there next time. All right, everybody, take good care. And Gus says, Baru. He says bye-bye. We'll see you soon.